School Committee to order. Please join with me again in honoring America, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If our secretary doesn't mind, I guess I'll call the roll. Mr. Leahy?
Here.
Mr. Leary?
Here.
Ms. Martin?
Here.
Mr. Conway?
Here.
Ms. Doherty?
Here.
Ms. Larraba?
Here.
7 present. The chair would like to recognize Ms. Doherty as we move into the special order of business.
Yes, Your Honor, I'd like to suspend the rules if we could to take the spotlight on excellence for the student middle school intramurals out of order, to do that first, please.
Motion seconded by Mr. Conway to move the spotlight on excellent student middle school intramurals to the top of the list. All those in favor of moving that out of order signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. The first item then under special order of business would be the student middle school intramurals spotlight on excellence. Mr. DeProfio.
Yeah.
Can we try to move in so everyone can come in from the hallway? Before I recognize Mr. DeProfio, let me just thank you for your patience. We certainly appreciate you being here, not only the students, but your parents and guardians and grandparents and relatives that are here this evening as well. So, again, on behalf of my colleagues, thank you very much for being here. Mr. DeProfio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening. Good evening to the members of the committee. Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Scott and members of the Central Administration. It's my pleasure this evening to introduce you to some of the students who have participated in our middle school intramurals this year. We had cross-country in the fall with over 250 students participating. We had 16 basketball teams this winter and 16 volleyball teams late winter, early spring. We had champions in cross-country, the girls team from the Daly School and the boys team from the Robinson School. In basketball, the boys team from the Robinson School and the girls team from the Daly School. And this spring in volleyball, the boys team from the Butler School and the girls team from the Wang School. The championships are terrific, and it is a lot of fun. It's exciting. We hold the cross-country at Shed Park and the other 2 championships at the Riddick Fieldhouse at the high school. More important than that is how the kids really get along. I had a chance to observe these meets and games, of course, during the year. And the students from all different schools, they do compete, and they certainly like to win like any of us do. But they really get the idea of sportsmanship. And we have a great chance to meet with the teams before they have their championship contest and talk to them about their future as student athletes and how important to play well but also to play fair is, and they do a great job. I can't compliment the coaches and the students enough from these middle schools. This is a real pleasure to have this program, and we certainly thank you for your support of it. 2 or 3 of the coaches would like to just speak briefly about how their seasons went. I didn't get many volunteers from the kids, but we told them that would be okay for now. So coaches, please.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Ed Burns. I'm the cross-country coach of the boys at the Robinson School. a number of our gentlemen are over here. And again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I have to just tell you very quickly, I'm a teacher first, by far, an educator, and then a coach second. And when I look at things that way, I think of how important the athletics are to my position as a teacher. It's a huge opportunity for a number of the kids in a number of different ways. One of those opportunities is for the excellent athletes. Some of them that you're looking at right here now, at least a couple of them, I guarantee 4 years from now are going to get scholarships. Guarantee it, okay? The other way that it's very important is, and especially from cross country, I can tell you, it teaches determination, it teaches discipline, it teaches self-sacrifice, teamwork, all of the kinds of skills that you want to see a student bring to the classroom. The last thing that I want to say is that it may surprise some of you to realize this, but there are a few students in our middle schools who are not big fans of learning. They're not big fans of behaving. One of the most effective tools we have of getting those kids involved in their education is athletics. We have a number of students who would prefer to misbehave than do their work. But they know that they will not be allowed to remain on their team if they do not do their work and behave. So it's a huge tool for getting those kids to buy into their education. And as an auxiliary thing, it even helps the rest of the kids in their class because they're not misbehaving. So we know that you people are tremendously busy and you don't have a whole lot of money to spread around, but please keep that in mind. It's a bigger tool than maybe many of you, if you've never done this kind of thing, you may not have realized. It helps us out in education tremendously. And again, we thank you for the time.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach.
Hi, good evening. Thank you very much for having us. My name is Sean Kremen. I'm the coach of the Daily Boys and Girls Cross Country team and the girls basketball team. The girls cross country team won the championship this year for the second time. Congratulations, girls. And the basketball team has won 5 straight middle school champions. So I'd like to congratulate the girls. I'd like to thank you for having us. I couldn't agree more with that gentleman. The Daily School really has it set up that they have to pass on a sheet every week, their grades, their conduct, their effort. He's right on the money with that. And we had over 90 kids try out this year for the team, and 85 stuck with it. So the numbers are there. These kids do a great job. They work hard, and they're all great students, too. I saw that at graduation today. The cross-country teams, the basketball teams, the Knowledge Bowl teams, all those kids are on athletic teams. And we would really like this program to continue, and we thank you for your support. And again, thanks for tonight.
Thank you.
My name is Walter de Souza. I'm a coach for the Bartlett School volleyball team. And I'd just like to talk to you, say something about what happened to my school. First day of practice, I didn't know the school was my first year in school. I come from Rogers School, and I told them, I'm going to tell you a secret why Rogers School won. I think the last 10 years, I won 8 or 7 volleyball. And I'm going to tell you the secret, our secret. And they all look at me and say, oh, tell me the secret. And I asked them 3 questions. Some of them remember that, right? Some did not. I asked them, do you want to be champion? Of course, they say yes. And I asked them again, do you want to be champion? They say yes, right? And I asked them for 3rd time, do you want to be champion? They say yes. There's 3 conditions. There's 3 conditions you need to pay for. You need to pay for that. There's 3 conditions. The 3 conditions is behave, grade, and do your homework. And they accept the challenge, and they become champions. Bartlett School, congratulations.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the invitation this evening. Thank you.
Thank you and congratulations.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Girls, you were so good tonight. You have tomorrow off.
Okay, so there's no clicker. Oh, the fun.
Okay, well, okay, thank you. That was a wonderful spotlight on excellence with our intramural students. Going back to the regular agenda, the next item under Spotlight on Excellence, student achievement gains across the district. The chair recognizes Dr. Scott to present the PowerPoint presentation.
Thank you,
Dr.
Your
Scott.
Thank you, Your Honor. Last week at the curriculum subcommittee meeting, we highlighted student achievement across Lowell Public Schools, and we work with our coaches, our teachers, and our administrators to bring forward from each school an example of student achievement driven by data, so that we said, this is our benchmark, and this is where it is right now. And so we're going to highlight 3 schools here this evening, but in your packet, in the curriculum subcommittee packet, there was one from all of our schools highlighting the achievement. And at this point, thanks, Paul. I would just like to look at the action steps that have been taken that has realized this particular achievement across the system at this time. And our focus has been on practices that are sustainable, that are data-driven. If you recall, we had our data summits this year where teachers from every grade level, the coaches and administration came and worked with us, looked at the data, and then those teams went back to their schools, and we had a teacher on every grade level team, as well as the coach and the administration, looking at the data and determining what needed to be addressed for their students that were sitting in front of them based on the data. And promote high standards and promote engaging and interactive lessons. Other action steps, if you recall, about 20 months ago, we consolidated the English Language Arts Development and English Language Arts Department for 2 reasons. One, in part, because we have limited resources in both of those departments, and the goal of both of those departments is language development for our students. So it was the best use of our resources, and it was another attempt to break down the silos, special education, ELL students, ELA, regular ed, and really to bring everybody to the table to problem solve what the data was telling us needed to be solved and addressed. We did a needs assessment. We went around to the middle school and the high schools. On the grade 5 and freshman academies, we implemented additional reading tutors, and I mentioned the K-12 data summits. And I'm going to have Deputy Superintendent of Curriculum, Jean Franco, just talk a little bit about this particular slide to give further detail. Jean?
Yes, a lot of the work that we did in the district was really making sure that the second language teaching and learning was really focused upon, because we know that's a need that our students have, and just it's all language development. Even children who are native English speakers, if they come from impoverished language background, they need language development to reach higher academic standards. So we worked on that. We did a incredibly large initiative training every one of our teachers in grades K through 6 in the 5 components of balanced literacy, beginning with language development as a key, and so we worked on that. And that training was customized in grades 5 and 6 to content area teaching, so there were specific standards including mathematics, social studies, science, to meet the needs of teachers, knowing how, in fact, content literacy is the key to academic success also. The support of the school committee helped us enormously with the early release time, where we had work to work vertically and horizontally on working together and with like teachers with different content-specific area backgrounds, so that was some work. Our organization really knows about how data, specific use of data, looking at kids, what they know and what they're able to do is the key to growth in our system. And so as we have looked at more diagnostic skills for our teachers by making sure they know about the language and literacy components of learning to read, has brought us lots of good academic data, especially in the formative assessment piece. I mean, we're about to see the summative assessment in the MCAS, but we've seen changes in classroom practice and improved assessment, which 4 of our schools are going to talk about this evening in the formative assessment, the day-to-day looking at student work, how children are doing in 4 of our schools. So we just want to give you a little snapshot of what's actually happening in 4 of our buildings.
Thank you. I'll invite Grace Way to the mic, please, just to give a snapshot from the Bailey School. Grace? Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. Grace, you can stay, and we'll go to the next slide. That's fine. Sorry. The Bartlett.
Okay. I want to
The
thank...
Bartlett's a K-8 school, and we have a really interesting success story there, and we'd like Grace just to highlight for the committee.
Sure. I just want to thank Superintendent Scott and Deputy Superintendent Franco for inviting us, and for me to represent the hard work that the Bartlett School teachers and staff are doing currently in order to help this child reach the standards. One of the things Dr. Schlichter said to me when she asked us to come is that this child is it's not just this child's profile is the profile of many students in Lowell. So given the right amount of time and the right amount of support given to the child in terms of instruction, many more children can meet this standard and can make this kind of progress that you see before you. This child I've known for 5 years. He is an ELL student. He did not speak in 1st and 2nd grade. He did not talk at all, and we were very concerned that this child was not making progress in reading. We even did evaluations for special ed and speech and language pathology. His oral language expression was just not there. We discovered that it was his outward, that his expressive language was lagging behind his receptive language. So he received, for many years, my sidewalks. The interventions he received were tailored to the assessments that we did that Phyllis, Dr. Schlichter, has taught us. We're now going to be using Fountas and Pinnell, and also to assess the child and target the instruction so they get the instruction that they need. This child received 4 different interventions in the last 2 years in order to make the progress that he has made. We can't do that without the tutors, the literacy specialists, the reading teacher working together, looking at the data, and deciding on what targeted instruction is going to take place so that he can make progress. The other thing is, I think one of the things we were trying to highlight is the professional development. 4 years ago, our teachers in the elementary level received a grant called Expanding the Reach, and their goal was to work on fluency and vocabulary. Then we implemented the Scott Borsman program, which we currently have. And we are also using SRI, grade, MCAS, Fountas and Pinnell as our assessments. All of that requires very high level of diagnostic of tools that the teachers are using. They have to understand how kids learn to read and also how they acquire language, especially in the case of our second language learners. And then, of course, Dr. Schlichter's professional development, very well done throughout the district. in the Foundations of Literacy this year. So I feel we're in a really good place, and that this child, by the way, we discovered that he moved from warning in MCAS to needs improvement last year, and this year we just found out that he's at the high needs improvement, very close to proficient. So we're very pleased that his development, and now he's talking. He is talking to me without me talking to him first, which is a miracle.
Thank you, Ms. Way. We appreciate that. And we thought it was powerful to highlight one student's growth, because this work is done one student at a time, in every school, in every classroom. And I think the point that Ms. Wade just made with regards to, if we can understand the multifaceted issues that that child faces at a very deep level, that gets transferred to other students that we are trying to educate, which is very important. The next snapshot is from the Bailey School, and I invite Sue Mulligan. And this snapshot looks at 24 at high-risk readers in the second grade at that school. Welcome.
Mr. Mayor, members of the school committee, Madam Superintendent, and cabinet members, this is just one of many success stories at the Bailey School. I'm pleased to say that all of our staff took part in the professional development that was provided through the Deputy Superintendent's Office of Curriculum. They received in those workshops the tools they needed to be able to provide the strategies necessary to move not just our at-risk students forward, but all our students forward. The other piece of the professional development that our staff took part in was the collaboration that was provided in the AFT training, and that focused a lot on data-driven decisions. So this is a new thing for staff to look at data and be able to make informed decisions per student, per group of students. So this was really important. The half-day release days that our teachers participated in really made a big difference in driving our instruction forward. The other piece of this was consistent and regular examination of the data, being able to look at our students' strengths and provide instruction at their ability level to make sure that all of our students experience success. When we did this study for the superintendent's office, we focused on a small group of students in second grade. And I'm going to invite our literacy specialist to give you more detail on what this data means.
So the students that we selected, there were 24 second grade students who were regular education students. They did not have education plans, but they were struggling. And looking at the data, the teachers made up their decision that they were going to focus on comprehension, question asking, and then also on oral reading fluency, because if you can't read fast enough, you can't process and understand. So the teachers rolled up their sleeves, they focused on the sidewalks, but they focused on shifting the burden of question asking from the teacher onto the students, which is a big shift for children because they have to think and engage. That was a very big focus. And then we provided fluency training every day for 15 minutes a day. So they got actually 2 interventions. They made great gains. They were able to join their classmates in the core program, and we're very proud of what is accomplished. And we're going to keep that pressure on them for them to ask the questions and to get that monkey off our back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. One thing I want to add is through all of this, we've kept our parents involved, and we've kept them engaged in the process. And one of our culminating efforts at the Bailey School was to invite our parents to come in and participate in a wide awake reading day where students read to their parents and the parents asked real deep inferential questions. So in a way, our parents are becoming our summertime teachers of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I invite Steve Gross, principal of the Stockholm School, to please come to the podium.
Good evening, and thank you. I think, like my colleagues before me, the Stockholm Middle Schools, when I look at the story that you have up there, I see faces. And I see faces of kids that came to us at the beginning of the year. Excuse me for one second. That that at times could not read at grade level and therefore could not access content at grade level. So before we identified what we had or what we would classify as a performance gap, we had to look at the motivation and engagement gap that existed, and why aren't they motivated, why are they not engaged? And in many cases, we found that children were not engaged because they could not access the content at grade level. It was not a purposeful thing. They were not spiteful or willful. They could not get content at grade level. They needed to be taught skills to read to then be able to access the content at grade level. So we focused on that. And when we looked at an RTI model within the building, we knew that to get the motivation and engagement piece, to be able to do some type of a diagnosis, we need to be able to get kids at that tier 1 with the entire group to be able to get them involved in meaningful content so that we could find out what they knew and what they didn't know. Tier 2 is what you see up here on the slide, and Tier 1, which once we identified those strands where we felt the kids were weak, we could then be prescriptive around what it was that we needed for them to then be able to then go ahead and access grade level content. So you look at the story that's up on the slide in front of you. This is a second language learner, and at the Stocklosa Middle School, they make up roughly 45% of the population of our students. 70% of our students come from a home where the first language is not English. So those content gaps, it's no surprise that the fact that they're not read to, like when they're younger, or if they are, there's gaps as the kids get older and older, and the content then becomes, more and more difficult. Taking a look at the aggregate at that tier 1 of RTI, and being able to say, if we move the aggregate, if we move the entire school, then we'll move the subgroup, that will then follow naturally, because they make up such a large percentage of our school. So what you see in front of you this evening is a result of hard work from the reading tutors, kids really getting the interventions that they needed in small groups at Tier 3, and a little bit larger groups at Tier 2 as far as the RTI was concerned, and then being able to move them back, like into their content groups when they're at grade level, and then they could access content. And as a result of this, the natural flow is we have an increase in achievement when we take our tests here in the spring. And I think that will be reflected when you receive our MCAS results shortly. We did very, very well. Very, very well. And our school has much to be proud of moving forward. So again, this is one snapshot. I see the face when I look at the slide, and I wish that you could too, because there's many faces that fit this mold, and we're moving kids. And the reason why we are is because of the people in the room. It's powerful work, and we're on the right track. The collaboration that's going on at the district level, the cooperation that's going on between the administrators, along with the UTL, that's moving I really feel like it's moving the building forward, and therefore, again, I think it's moving the entire district forward. So I thank you for your time, and have a great evening and a great summer.
Thank you, Mr. Gross. Thank you. And the last school that we're highlighting this evening is the Merkland School, and that is our level 4 school, and it was recently designated as such this spring, but we started to work diligently on reorganizing, redesigning that school last fall. And I invite Marion Bond, principal of the school, to please come forward with her coach as well. Thank you. Linda.
Thank you, Dr. Scott, Mr. Mayor, members of the Cabinet and School Committee. It's very exciting for me to be here this evening sharing some wonderful news from the Merkland School, especially given, as Dr. Scott referred to, we are now a level 4 school, and that's not happy news, but we have started working diligently, and the scores up there will show that. This is a stop along our journey. This didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen by accident. It happened by design, and it happened initially with strong, focused, targeted professional development, actually beginning in August of 2008, when the teachers decided they wanted to become better at implementing independent reading in their classrooms, and they wanted to make sure that in the schedule that was happening. So with some strong professional development, with some consultants, Teachers for Teachers, we worked on independent reading, Reader's Workshop, focused direct instruction of comprehension strategies such as retelling, building schema, monitoring for meaning, asking questions when they were reading. And that began at kindergarten. We wanted our youngest readers to begin there. We didn't want to continue having to fill that gap. We didn't want the gap to open in the first place. So last year it started in K1, and this year the training has continued into grades 2, 3. But in addition to the training with our consultants, we had Dr. Schlichter's trainings with all the teachers this year, which only melded and brought more connection to the training that they've been having with all the components of balanced literacy. And again, it wasn't by accident, it was by design. When we looked at our scores along the way in December, we began our Fountas and Pinnell assessments in December with grades 2 and 3. And it was clear that our scores were not acceptable. The children were reading they were very good decoders, but not good comprehenders of what they were reading. So in January, we established a focus study group, and there was a member of each grade level team on the committee. And we also included reading teachers, special ed teachers, the coaches, the administrators, central office administration as well. We looked at the data again, the Fountas and Pinnell. We looked at the MIPA, we looked at the MCAS, and when we looked at the data and had dialogue with our staff, it became clear that there was not enough focus put at that time on our most at-risk readers. So we redesigned our program. And Linda Cornell, the literacy coach for the Merkland School, continued doing workshops with the teachers, classroom teachers, on guided reading and small group instruction. And she also worked with our Title I reading teachers on what is focused strategic intervention for our at-risk readers. So by redesigning the literacy block and moving guided reading back to the classroom teachers, allowing our Title I teachers to do the specialized work that they are trained for, we established small groups of 4 students that met for 30-minute blocks of time each day with the reading teachers, and over an 8-week period of time, you see the results of this work here. It's not just our most at-risk readers. Our data here shows the entire 2nd and 3rd grades. But as you can see, for example, in January, 82% of the 2nd graders were not meeting expectation. In May, it's 56%, still too high, but that represents a drop, there are 26% fewer children now reading at that level. But if you look at it exceeds expectations from January to May. In January, only 4% of those children were exceeding expectations, and now it's raised to 25%. And you can see the statistics for grade 3 as well. So as I said, that's tremendous news for the Merkland School, given the situation that we're in right now. It's success for the students, it's happy news for the parents. This is just a stop along the way, because at the end of that 8-week period, when that assessment was done, Linda and the reading teachers looked at the groupings, regrouped, and as educators, that's what we do. We look at the data, we regroup for needs, provide the service that the children need, and I expect that this will be reflected in our MCAS as well, and just in our continued improved reading. So, thank you very much for allowing us this time to share the good news.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bond. We appreciate all the work that you and your staff have done at the Merkland School, and we have enjoyed working so closely with the school. And although the MCAS first round of data is still embargoed, it's enough to say that we will be coming in front of this committee to share the good news of the MCAS scores of the Merkland School. We're very proud of the work, as well as the Bailey School. It's extremely impressive, and it shows that intervention, with everybody going in the same direction, collaborating, that it doesn't only, it will not only show here, but it will show on your MCAS score. So to be continued in a very short period of time. Again, you are here to highlight the good work that's being done throughout the system. We thank all the principals who are here tonight and the work that you all do in your schools. You are a very impressive group of professionals, and it's a pleasure to work with you and for you, and thank you for your efforts. Thank you.
Comments, questions? Mrs. Martin.
Could I ask a quick question? Just because as we're making, I suppose I should have asked it quicker. As we're making our comparisons, looking particularly at the final one, the Merkland, And when we're comparing the Fountas and Pinnell grade 2 and grade 3, is the baseline set, when we look at the January number and we compare it to the May number, are we looking at what a student's learning should be at the midpoint of the year and comparing that to the same thing? And then in May, we're looking at what the student's performance should be at the end of the year and comparing that to end of year data? It's not really tracking the improvement over the year in terms of the baseline.
Right, thank you for the question, and the answer is yes, but I would like it answered more in full, Linda, if you wouldn't mind.
And don't you wish you would beat a path out the door?
Question. When we're looking at the fall data, there are fall benchmarks, and the benchmarks increase as the year goes on. So the January benchmarks were a certain level, and the May were higher than that. So when you see the data, when you see that improvement, that's based on where they should be at that time of the year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. That's correct. Thank you very much for the question.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, moving on with the next spotlight on excellence, STEM and Fine Arts Pathways, District Strategic Goal number 2, promoting community involvement in order to enhance educational opportunities for students. Chair recognizes Dr. Scott.
Thank you, Your Honor. This topic was also covered at the last subcommittee meeting for curriculum, and that night we had numerous representatives from the Middlesex Community College who sit on both of these pathways, as well as UMass Lowell. And this evening there is a function at the college, so many of our folks are there this evening, but we do have Alex Ruthman from UMass Lowell here, and he will speak to one of the slides. So we thank you, Professor, for being here this evening representing UMass Lowell, and we totally understand that others are busy at another function this evening, but we do thank them for coming out last week and sharing their insights and input into both the pathways. So I'd just like to go over a brief review. The STEM and Fine Arts Pathways formalizes and strengthens our existing partnerships. Lowell Public Schools has had a long history of partnering with our community partners, both MCC, UMass Lowell, but also our business communities. Establishes vertical articulation between Lowell Public Schools, Middlesex Community College, UMass Lowell, in order to enhance educational opportunities for students. And again, that structure has been in place for many years, and we're just building upon that and strengthening it, as the subcommittee members heard the other evening. This particular pathway, the STEM pathway in particular, is now attracting millions of dollars, and especially from the National Science Foundation grant. And in the packet, at the back of your packet, there's a list of the grants that we have received in the last 2 years. The Fine Arts Pathway, making connections for our students, is really important, and ongoing work that's been done. Betty Sadigani, the Fine Arts Department Chair, had to leave this evening, but we are working on expanding joint student performances, music, student internships being available to our students, joint performance concert series, a focus on Cambodian music and visual arts, and UMass Lowell Center for the Arts. And I'd just like to invite Alex Ruthman to the mic and just expand on that just a little for us.
Sure. It's a pleasure to address you again and to talk a little bit about some of the partnerships that are in place and some of the possibilities. I've had the opportunity to talk with many of you individually and some in the group form about what's going on. The partnerships that exist between the UMass Lowell, not only the music department, but also things that are happening with computer science and math and ed were actually part of the reason that attracted me to accept the position at UMass Lowell 2 years ago, because it is a unique program, particularly in music education, in that so much of our coursework is embedded in the Lowell schools. At least half of all of our methods courses exist in a local school. In particular, we have strategic partnerships that have been in place for a number of years at Lowell High School in the music program, at the Bartlett Community Partnership School, where our students are embedded and follow an entire class within a grade over the entire year and apprentice in that environment. And our growth in music teacher education is, our enrollment is growing. And so now we're in the process of expanding the program that we've started at the Bartlett to the McAvenue School in the fall, and we're also now talking with a number of music teachers, in part because of the discussions that have happened with the pathway this semester, to expand our partnerships to work with middle school instrumental students, working with a choral program across the district, and so that's very important and very exciting for us, and we stand ready to help, particularly as the impact of the impending cuts happen. We're here to help out in any way that we can to help provide support. In addition to that, Dr. Scott mentioned the millions of dollars that have been coming in through STEM grants. We're also now starting very serious grant writing on the arts side to pursue grants, and we have an innovative program actually that it brings together interdisciplinary faculty in STEM with our faculty in the arts, and we've been successful so far at getting quite a bit of funding from the National Science Foundation. You might have heard about the Artbotics programs. Also, we have a Sound Thinking Performatics program, and we're now working with school partners in applying for additional grants and moving forward. So the successes that have happened on the STEM end, we hope to start making inroads on the arts end to also bring money and resources in partnership with each other. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and
Thank you,
good luck with everything.
Appreciate that. The next slide really looks at how we've divided the work up at the Fine Arts pathway, and we've established committees, and I won't go into the job description of each of the committees here this evening, but it's enough to say that we have representation from all of our grade levels and Middlesex and UMass Lowell, and it's everything from fundraising, a fundraising committee, to working with local artists and how local artists can enter into our classrooms, into our art programs and music programs, and enhance those offerings. So it's really, we have brought our art teachers together this year, our music teachers, and they have agendas for each of these subcommittees and action items, as was shared some of that the other evening. The STEM pathway, some connections. Again, the vertical articulation teams in grade 7 through to 16. Math and science tutoring programs, grade 7 through 10. The active place of student assessment in grade 11, as well as the remediation piece of that in grade 12. Additional dual enrollment courses, and a plan for flexible scheduling between Lowell High School, UMass Lowell, and the community college. The STEM pathway recent grant fundings, and the details of this is in your packet. But there was a 2.3 National Science Foundation grant funded for Vibes and Waves, as Claire Abrams spoke at the subcommittee meeting about as well, and 332 from Mass Department of Higher Education for partnerships for readiness in math and English. The STEMS pathway, additional grants that we've received, $200,000 Title II-B Mathematics and Science Partnership Foundation, and there are significant National Science Foundation grants that we have written, and those proposals are out. We're waiting to hear back, as well as 2 Gear Up proposals, and presently Lowell Public Schools and MCC and UMass Lowell are searching for other funding sources, as our professor has mentioned as well. So that is our goal, to engage our community partners so that we are able to bring additional resources and programming into our schools, and we are excited about this particular initiative.
Any questions on this spotlight on excellence? Hearing none, would a motion be in order to accept both spotlights as a report of progress by Mr. Conway, second by Mr. Leary? All those in favor of accepting as reports of progress signify by saying aye. Opposed, to vote. The next item under special order of business is the Superintendent of Schools evaluation. I want to thank my colleagues for submitting their performance evaluation to central office. And we have the report in front of us. I guess the chair would recognize the chairperson of the Personnel Subcommittee, Ms. Martin. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do want to thank, again, as the mayor had said, all my colleagues for everyone's participation in this year's evaluation of the superintendent. Each year we seem to be shifting and changing it a little bit, but it seemed like this was fairly painless. Everything came in relatively on time. I think I was probably the last one to submit my scores. And just so the public knows, the process was the instrument was distributed. Each member of the committee placed their own scores based on upwards of 70 different individual areas of performance. It is an instrument that we've used for several years now that really does kind of, I think, cross over many of the different areas of leadership and expertise that we require from our superintendent. Starts with relationships with the committee, includes community relationships, staff relationships, focuses a great deal on business and finance and educational leadership. And then there's also sections for personal qualities and image. I think as we go, again, traditionally what we've done is given all the members of the committee an opportunity to share both in terms of their scores. Some also will take it upon themselves to include kind of some written notes in terms of comments at the end. And I think our best kind of process that we've maybe perhaps stumbled across has been at this meeting to give everyone an opportunity to just kind of share their impressions, reference the instrument where they feel it's appropriate, and then include whatever comments they feel are also appropriate. I can go first, and then I would certainly encourage each one of my colleagues to spend some time as well. I think having gone through certainly a very challenging first year, the second year was no less challenging, faced with a great many problems and obstacles that needed to be dealt with. I think that the superintendent, I felt even more comfortable in this second year with her understanding of the district. I think, like anything else, having lived through things one time, the second time around in many cases showed real improvement, which I was very excited about. I know that one of the key things that I had concerns about during our first year had been our budget process, and I think that while it has been no less painful in this season, certainly, there were structures put in place that I felt were far more effective. I think having our opportunity to talk earlier was very much appreciated. Again, I suppose, based on tonight's budget hearing, it didn't get us to the finish line any quicker, but we certainly, if only amongst ourselves and with the public, had far more opportunities to really thrash out where our priorities were, where we were going to be spending our money. And I think that the superintendent used her staff extremely well in that process. And had managed the process in a much more effective way, which I appreciated, because again, with it getting more and more difficult, it's more and more incumbent upon all of us to try and to work better through this. So I thought that showed real improvement that I was very pleased with. I think there is still, again, as I look at my scores, just to pick up the very few areas where I'd like to see some continued attention. I think there are sometimes some miscommunications in terms of work with the school committee, and I think, and a miscommunication will always indicate two individuals. So I think that the onus remains as much on the committee to be clearer in the way that we offer instruction and guidance. And I think that improvement needs to happen on both sides on that, in that situation. I think there have been some opportunities where direct communications and conversations would be more effective, and where the superintendent would benefit from taking some more direct approaches in working with the committee when miscommunications and whatnot arise. And I think that those are the only areas that I was really hoping to see some again, continued attention to. The only other areas I looked through here is the anticipating some of the reactions that will come from the decisions that get made. I think a lot of that, I would certainly say it's improved in the second year, but does warrant some continued attention, because I just think that having lived through some of the really just gut-wrenching decisions that we make here, and certainly the superintendent is leading that and taking the brunt of that. The reality is that the ability to anticipate problems could, in many cases, make things go a little more smoothly. So I would say overall, the second year has shown improvement, and that's great. And I think that we're moving forward, and I as always, think that the superintendent and all of the staff and all of the committee can really benefit from taking a little extra time in terms of being able to take criticism, take constructive ideas, and being able to incorporate it into kind of the mindset without moving to defensive places. And I think we can all benefit from doing that a little bit more. And then I would defer to my colleagues and encourage them to share their thoughts.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Mr. Leary?
Just first, I'd like to thank Committeewoman Martin for, being the facilitator of putting together the evaluation. It's not an easy thing to do, to put 6 personalities, and 7 including our own, in the room, and making sure everybody's timely. And as she articulated, she was actually second last. I think I was last. But nonetheless, I appreciate her efforts. I also want to thank the superintendent and her staff. Well, I guess when we do the evaluation, we do it actually for the staff as well, direct staff, and I appreciate your efforts. It's been a challenging year, budget-wise, and with our ultimate goal of student achievement. As we go through these tough decisions and making decisions that we would never, when we ran for school committee, we wouldn't want to make, and now we're making these decisions and voting for things. The ultimate goal, and I think the administration, leading by the superintendent, has been student achievement. And it's not easy. A lot of times you're hurting, good people that you live in the neighborhood with. But I think with the guide that we put forward, trying to do things with student achievement as the focus has been the priority. I think the budget this year presented was far superior than last year in terms of the process. Obviously, we have significant challenges with a few weeks ahead. Some of those items are not in the administration or the school committee's control. So acknowledging that, at least the effort was far more intelligent than it was last year. We did reach out with the administration to the public to work with the business leaders as well as our parent groups. And I think that at least identified and educated many folks in terms of how we are going forward with the Lowell public school system. I think, and as I go through the categories that I listed, I think we've showed improvement in a lot of different areas, and I think that's a very good thing. I think unfortunately, in any business, what you need to do is look not only at last year, which I think was commendable and good and very positive, and I'm thankful for, but we need to look forward to next year and look at what we're going to be faced with and how we're going to meet those challenges. Sitting as the administration and as a school board, I think you sometimes think you're fighting everybody in a lot of different areas. I think sometimes you're fighting, other groups, other legislative bodies. Sometimes you think you're fighting the unions. You think you're like in a place by yourself. But I think what the superintendent has done effectively has reached out to these outside groups and have looked for common ground, especially with our teachers. I think that's an area where our teachers are some of the best in the business, and by having their expertise realized and actualized, we're going to show major improvement. I think the obstacles that we're faced with next year are going to be, again, we're going to have to arise to the challenge. Unfortunately, the finances aren't going to be there. I look forward to working with the superintendent in the third year. The contract, I think it's been obviously much easier year than last year, obviously, but we are faced with significant challenges, and we're going to have to rise to that occasion. So I guess I'll end by just saying thank you to the superintendent and thank you to her staff, who I think, as the superintendent would acknowledge, without a good staff assisting and working and implementing the plan, you can't. And also I want to thank the principals and the teachers. It hasn't been an easy year the past year, and it unfortunately won't be an easy year next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Larry. Okay, Mr. Leahy.
Thank you. I'd like to start by saying thank you to Ms. Martin for putting this together, because it's a task every year, so thank you. In my evaluation, I did note that superintendent, you've come a long way with our system, I think. You came in and did a good job the first year, and a little bit to learn. I mean, naturally, new system, new people. But I saw, I was much happier this year with the budget process than last year. I thought you did a great job this year handling that. And overall, I just, in all the areas that I had to judge you, I just can see, as we talked about tonight, significant growth. you've done a great job. So I'll just end it at that and say thank you very much, and you and your staff, and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leahy. Ms. Larrabee?
Thank you very much. As I got ready to do this performance evaluation and was looking at the 75 different aspects, I was concerned because some of these questions that I'm being asked to evaluate on are things that frankly, I have not been on the committee long enough to speak as knowledgeably as I would like to. So I took the task that I would go by what I saw as a parent, and I would go by what I saw as a school committee member. And I have to say that I was very pleased when you came up with the process for the budget, having witnessed last year's proceedings, the fact that you took the ball and set out a way to be more transparent for the schools, the teachers, the parents. I very much appreciated that. And I thought we had several meetings. Your staff put a lot of time and effort into providing a lot of information. And I thought you did a great job in terms of presenting us with information that we could use to make some informed decisions. I think our task ahead of us for next year is to really make people understand that those are serious meetings. I think some people just thought we were sitting around talking about different things and not realize that we were making some serious decisions at those meetings. So I think that's a goal for next year, is that we just get that, we get people to understand that no, we're starting the process at this time because we need this amount of time to make our plans. And maybe that would address some of our concerns about last minute changes in our budgeting. The other thing was, I felt comfortable in the information that you've provided to me. Your office staff, June is very good about sending out your, I don't know if we want to call them words of wisdom or not, but in terms of just letting us know what's happening in the district, I appreciate that. I certainly did not anticipate as much of the background stuff that went on as a parent, so it was a little eye-opening for me as a school committee member. I think I've had numerous opportunities to see you speak to parents and staff. I've been very impressed each time that I've seen you at those meetings. I know part of the problem is not having enough time to do a lot of these different things. What I hope we can get to, or what you can get to, and again, time would be a big problem with that, is just some of the follow-up with that. Especially you did a great job with the Bailey, and I went to several of those meetings and followed up with the conversations at the Merklin. And I understood those were really two big target areas. And so, if you could whip a few more hours in your day and do that across the board, I think that would be another area that I'd like to see us, try to make some strides in. I certainly agree with Committeewoman Martin that there are some communication issues, and definitely agree that they're on both sides. So I would look forward to this coming year as a school committee member, making sure that we are expressing our desires in a manner that is very clearly understood. And as we've discussed at several other subcommittee meetings, the follow-up from your staff, if we're not clear, to say, okay, I'm understanding that you're saying this, is that great? So that's the long and short of my evaluation. I do not have the length of time working with you that the fellow school committee members did, but I will say that I've been appreciative of the information you've given me. I've been appreciative of the leadership that you've taken in terms of having the relationship with the union, deciding that you would not take your bonus and not take your raises, and your cabinet doing the same thing. I think that just shows that you're willing to jump in with the group and share the same kind of issues that they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So I look forward to spending the next year working with you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lara. Ms. Doherty?
Thank you, Your Honor. As the school committee person who wrote at length on the evaluation, I'm really going to try to keep my comments brief because I think I put a lot of it down here. I'd like to start by thanking the superintendent for her energy and enthusiasm for this job. I mean, clearly she is passionate about the work, and I think that sincerity and that earnest commitment is felt throughout the community. People recognize it. They see it in your actions and the way you present yourself. And I really appreciate, I think it goes a long way. Some of the other things that I would agree with is in terms of the budget process, as difficult as it was, having all those meetings spaced out, very public, I think added that level of transparency. Although it was still very painful and we're not finished, I think you really heard the comments from last year's approach, and you had a good plan for dealing with that, and I appreciate that. Another area was in terms of reports, that we were not getting data that was really useful for us, and the superintendent jumped right on top of that issue and helped to resolve that in a way that I really appreciated, because of course we can't make good decisions without having the data, especially when money is so tight, and we really have to look carefully at what's our most effective programs and things like that. So I guess I think that in terms of the community partnership efforts, in terms of the professional development, what we're seeing with the early release days, I think the superintendent heard my concerns about we want to make sure that we use that time very effectively to improve student learning because we're sending kids home when we know they need more time in front of the classroom. And as we saw from tonight's presentation and the curriculum subcommittee, I think we are seeing the results of those efforts, and I'm sold on that. And so I would be supporting the early release plan for next year. So I think overall, there's a real commitment to Lowell children and a real high energy level and passion that I really appreciate. And as we continue to go forward, I think that we'll, work out the kinks that have been mentioned before about communication. I know my own sense of being somewhat hesitant in offering constructive feedback, because I do get this sense that you do care so deeply about the work you're doing that, it's taken on a personal level, and I did comment on that in my evaluation. And I think that's a two-way thing, too, that I have to be more comfortable to have those frank conversations with you and, feel that you understand it's in a constructive environment, that we both, and I think all of us here, want the same things. We really do. So thank you for your work.
Thank you, Ms. Doherty. Mr. Conway?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have been involved with the school system for a number of years, and I certainly have worked with a number of superintendents. And I'm going to name a couple of them, George Sapasaris and Carla Brooks Bayer. And so over the period of the last, let's say, 20 years, the school system has been going in a positive direction. There seems to be, except for that one year, the first year that Judge Sapasaris was on board, there was a problem with finances and there were major cutbacks. But after that, we recovered financially, and for many years we built the school system, and we were able to become very creative and innovative in the way we approached education. Now the next superintendent comes in, Chris Augusta Scott, and she's faced with a terrible financial situation the very first year on board. And you navigated through that, and I applauded you for that, and I thought you did an excellent job. And once again, we get hit with the second year, which is just as bad, and the third year doesn't look much better. And I want to congratulate you for that, because this has not been an easy road to start off with, because you're coming into a very, as I said before, a very complex community with a tremendous amount of diversity, and couple that with the fact that there is difficult financial times that are facing us, and taking all that into consideration, I think you've done an admirable job. And I just wanted to point out a couple areas in particular. The community relationships they continue to improve. And as I have often said, I think it's extremely important that you bring the community involved into the school system. And I think that Mr. Leary has alluded to that a little bit earlier about bringing the business community in. I think for perhaps a number of years, that group perhaps wasn't invited to the table as often as it could have been. And I think that has changed, along with other partners like Middlesex Community College and our nonprofits and University of Mass. Again, you've reached out, and I've seen this numerous times, and I've been at meetings, and I certainly applaud you for that, because I think it's just good business, to be quite frank with you. And I think the community certainly has appreciated that too. The collaboration with the staff and the cooperation with the staff and the respect of the staff, that goes a long ways. And I think it's very difficult to measure that, but I think we're seeing it in many different ways. We're seeing it with the results in the classroom. This just doesn't happen overnight, because you have to have a staff that wants to feel that they're respected, and I do believe that they feel that with the superintendent, and I think that's extremely important, that they can look up to that leader and realize that the leader knows that they are doing a good job. So again, I applaud you in that area, and it only results in, to be quite frank with you, some people might, some people might question it, but I think that morale is something that is extremely important, not just in the educational world, but in the business world and in every other place. The fact is that if people feel good about what they're doing on a daily basis, despite the economic problems that we have, it just translates into doing business better. And what are we in business to do? And that's to educate the children. And that's what translates into I think doing a better job in the classroom, and with all the support group. Again, I think that they feel that we're all working together. And I point out that first the first day of school that we had last year, and that was so very important to see, not just the teachers, because I've been at those meetings before where you just had teachers, but we had the entire staff. And people were looking around and they felt that they were all together on the same page, working for that common goal. So I congratulate you for that. And the improvement of our schools, and here tonight it was a perfect example. Taking a look at those scores at the Merkland School, that's an amazing turnaround. And I congratulate you, Dr. Scott, your staff, and also certainly the entire educational community for bringing this together and making it work. So after taking a look at the second evaluation, again, I think that you're certainly on the right track. I would certainly, my advice would be to continue what you're doing, because as far as I'm concerned, I think you've done an admirable job. You've done a great job for the city of Lowell, and you certainly have done a great job for the children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. If my colleagues don't mind, I'll just speak from the, I'm sorry, you mind, Mr. Lee minds, no. First of all, I want to thank my colleagues for the opportunity to actually go through this evaluation process, and also recognize the chair of the Personnel Subcommittee for making sure we stay on task. I just want to say, since I've only been a school board member since January, I just want to thank Dr. Scott for having a real open door policy with the mayor's office, with myself going down on a weekly basis to her office to make sure that I have the information I need in order to conduct business here at the school committee level. I think my colleagues have said it well. I think that the superintendent does have a very good relationship with the community. She's passionate about her position as superintendent, In my opinion, I think she's a very good superintendent, and I'm looking forward to, again, continuing my working relationship with Dr. Scott. I did leave some of the categories on the evaluation blank, only from the standpoint that I just didn't know, because I don't have a student in the system right now, so I'm really not, from the standpoint of on the ground level, working with the superintendent within the schools. But the more I work with the superintendent, the more comfortable I'm becoming with the various leadership qualities that Dr. Scott does have. So again, I think based upon what I'm hearing, there's been improvement made over the last year, and I'm looking forward to continuing what I think is a positive working relationship with the superintendent. So thank you. With that said, Dr. Scott.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to thank the school committee for their support of our vision. I greatly respect the hundreds of hours that you dedicate to improving our school system and moving it forward. These are not easy times to be a sitting school committee member or superintendent of schools, as we face unprecedented financial crises, which have led to numerous cuts that ultimately will negatively impact our school district over the long term. However, in spite of these cuts, all indicators suggest that Lowell Public Schools will continue to advance our aggressive student achievement goals, and in some cases, their schools will see unprecedented growth in literacy. These gains can be attributed to your leadership and support of the staff of Lowell Public Schools, who give 150% every day to ensure our students receive an excellent education. This year, for the first time, it was announced that Lowell Public Schools ranked #1 in all urban school districts for growth data and mathematics, and the top 1/3 for English language arts. In addition, for the first time, 8 of our schools were cited for best instructional practices by the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education for our English language learners. As of June 2nd, 2010, Lowell Public Schools has been recognized by the Department of Massachusetts Elementary and Secondary Education for the quality of its special education programming. According to the department, these efforts have resulted in Lowell Public Schools progressing from a level 4 status, which is needs intervention, in 2008 to 2009, to level 2, meets requirements, in 2009, 2010. I'd like to thank the school committee for taking immediate action on the staff's recommendation, as our collective quick action has resulted in real gains for our students. The school committee's commitment to excellence has ensured that we have the resources available to us to establish professional learning communities at each grade level. These learning communities are charged with examining the student data and developing a lesson plan focused on best instructional practices in order to improve student achievement of the students presently sitting in front of them. I am proud of the collaborative work that the school committee, the staff, and the union continue to embark upon, as I believe this approach will ultimately lead to unprecedented student achievement and growth. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank the members of my cabinet, Jean Franco, Ann Murphy, Jay Lang, and June Cormier. It's a pleasure to work with each of you, and I share this excellent evaluation with you as it is a result of our collective work together. Each of you are extremely skilled at your jobs, and you make this difficult work doable. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. Motion by Mr. Leary, second by Ms. Larrabee, to accept the evaluation as a report of progress, I guess. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the regular school committee meeting of May 19, 2010. Motion to approve by Ms. Doherty, second by Ms. Martin. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? It's a vote. Thank you. Under permission to enter, we actually have 10 pages of items that need to be voted on by the school committee. The chair recognizes Dr. Scott.
Thank you, Your Honor. I recommend that I name the vendor and the amount and go through the amount on each page. Is that okay?
Okay, that'll be fine. Thank you.
Easter Seals, New Hampshire, Inc., for the amount of $29,361. Merrimack Education Center, Incorporated, for the amount of $16,300. S&P&R Transportation of New Hampshire for the amount of $200,000. Archway, Inc., for the amount of $130,578. Brandon Residential Treatment Center, Inc., for the amount of $181,579. Cardinal Crushing Centers, Cushion Centers, for the amount of $242,857. City of Haverhill, $47,908. Cotting School, $80,563. Again, Easter Seals, New Hampshire, $306,087. Edco Collaborative, $44,586. George H. and Arlene Walker Home for Children, $34,538. Greater Lawrence Educational Collaborative, GLEC, for the amount of $110,848. Greater Lawrence Educational Collaborative, $75,000. Health and Education Services, Inc., $45,481. Hillcrest Educational Center, $85,669. Institute for Developmental Disabilities, Inc., for the amount of $164,910. Italian Home for Children, Inc., for the amount of $55,820. Justice Resource Institute, for the amount of $315,100. Latham Centers, for the amount of $110,735. Lighthouse School, for the amount of $102,439. Little People's School, for the amount of $41,375. Melmark, New England, for the amount of $181,902. Merrimack Education Center, for the amount of $314,562. Mount Prospect Academy, for the amount of $53,647. New England Long-Term Care, for the amount of $263,479. North Shore Education Consortium, for $183,460. Perkins School for the Blind, for the amount of $246,661. Professional Center for Handicapped Children, for the amount of $63,176. Robert F. Kennedy Children's Action Corps, for the amount of $46,464. STEM Collaborative, for the amount of $93,003. Seven Hills Foundation, for the amount of $45,405. St. Anne's Home, $367,170. The American School at Hartford for the Deaf, $79,915. The Home for Little Wanderers, for the amount of $135,627. The Judge Ruttenberg Educational Center, for the amount of $268,720. The Learning Center for the Deaf, $114,993. The May Institute, for the amount of $283,286. The Protestant Guide for Human Services, $279,761. The St. Vincent Home Corporation of Fall River, $50,935. Town of Falmouth, $15,974. Vermont Center for Deaf and Hard of Hearing, $8,295. Middlesex Community College, $35,000. Middlesex Community College, $798,203. Middlesex Community College, $20,000. Mark Romoski, for the amount of $10,000. University of Massachusetts at Lowell, $25,000. That completes the list, Your Honor.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. Move to approve by Ms. Martin, second by, yes, Ms. Larrabee.
That's correct.
It was 50,000 on our sheet.
I'm sorry, it does supposed to be 25,000.
It's 25? Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
We have a motion by Ms. Martin. Mr. Conway?
Could we exclude one of those? There's one I can't vote on.
So,
Seven Hills Foundation.
okay. So why don't we move to approve all but that one? We'll take that one separately.
Thank you.
Thank you. What we're going to do is we're actually going to move to approve the items as presented by Dr. Scott. Motion was made by Ms. Martin, seconded by Mr. Leary. Any other questions? Again, we're doing all but the one in question. Roll call.
Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milanazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Thank you. And then we have one that we need to take it out of order. Motion to approve by Ms. Doherty, second by Mr. Leahy. Roll call.
Mr. Leahy,
Yes.
Mr. Leary,
Yes.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Milonazo,
Yes.
Mr. Conway,
Present.
present. Ms. Doherty,
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee,
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 present, approved.
Thank you. Moving on with the agenda, memorials, committee as a whole. We have a number of memorials I'd like to read, and then we'll rise in a moment of silence in darkened chambers. The first one is Georgina Silva, mother of Dino De Silva, Central Office Custodian. Kenneth Harkins, father of Diane Lincoln, Bailey School teacher. William C. McLaughlin, brother-in-law of Elizabeth McLaughlin, operation and maintenance clerk, and uncle of Kelly McLaughlin, Riley School paraprofessional. Michael E. LaFeria, City of Lowell firefighter. Leo David Mahoney, member of a prominent family. Minus Jack Agorian, father-in-law of Sophia Panagiatakis Agorian, Washington school teacher. George M. Lang, uncle of Jay Lang, assistant superintendent of finance and operations, and Jill Lang, English teacher at Lowell High School. Shirley Underwood, mother of Richard Underwood, Sullivan School custodian, and mother-in-law of Kelly King Underwood, Sullivan School custodian. And Alice L. Silcox Spriggs, retired Moody Junior High School teacher. We all rise in a moment of silence in darkened chambers. Thank you. May they rest in peace. Do we have any unfinished business? Public participation? We have two motions. The first by Jackie Doherty, requests the superintendent provide the facility subcommittee with an updated report on how much has been spent in total to relocate central administration to the Rogers School, including cost of retrofitting, air conditioning, furniture, signage, and any other past, current, and known future expenses related to the new use of the facility. Second by Mr. Leahy. Ms. Doherty.
Thank you, Your Honor. I think the motion pretty much speaks for itself. I'm just looking for an update on what our costs have been in regards to the move to the Rogers School.
Okay.
We do have a facility subcommittee meeting scheduled for next Thursday, June 24th, but if that's not enough time, I'm fine with, I don't know if you have that information right at hand, but whenever it's available is fine with me. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion as presented signify by saying aye. Opposed, it's a vote. Thank you. Next motion by Ms. Doherty, request the superintendent provide a report on absenteeism among administrators district-wide that includes information on the process for collecting the information, absenteeism rates for contractual and union administrative employees, as well as a breakdown by job category, principals, assistant principals, housemasters, social workers, etc. Second by Ms. Martin. Ms. Doherty.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, it pretty much speaks for itself. It occurs to me that we've done a lot of work over the last few years and really trying to look at our teacher absenteeism rates and, periodically getting reports on that. But as far as I know, we've never gotten information about our administrators' attendance rates and how we actually track and the process for even keeping track of some of that information. So that's my intention here, to kind of establish a baseline of information about our attendance rates at the administrative end of things. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed, vote. Thank you. Under subcommittee reports, we have a report on the joint Community Partnership and Curriculum Subcommittee report and approval of the minutes of the meeting held on June 7th, 2010. I know that you had a very in-depth agenda, so the chair would recognize David Conway for a report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I want to apologize in advance for the lengthy report. I'll try to get through it as quick as I possibly can. We had a meeting on June 7th, and it started at 6 o'clock, and we had Jackie Doherty, myself, Jim Leary in attendance. We also had a number of staff members from the district, over 14, and we had University of Massachusetts Lowell, Paul Marion, University of Mass Lowell, Alex Ruthman, Middlesex Community College, Molly Sheehy, and Middlesex Community College, David Coleman. And the agenda, Mr. Mayor, was the STEM and the Fine Arts Pathway was the first that we talked about. Also, Level 4 status update and student achievement gains across the district. Third was the early childhood assessment protocol, and that was delayed for another meeting. And the fourth was the early release days. I want to congratulate, before I start, I want to congratulate the superintendent for gathering all the representation from the three levels. We had certainly from the Lowell school system and from Middlesex and also from the university. And it was a great opportunity for everyone to get together and to see exactly the good work that we're doing and working as true partners. Superintendent Scott presented information summarizing the progress and the importance of the current STEM and Fine Arts pathway process. She reported that over time each pathway has benefited from the collaborative partnerships, enhanced communication with students, and an influx of federal dollars. This is especially true of the STEM pathway that has been funding in the millions of dollars from the National Science Foundation through our work with UMass Lowell. Although there are fewer grant opportunities for the fine art pathways, our partnerships have, and we certainly saw it that night, have strengthened in the area that these partnerships have advanced our collaboration and enriched the work of the students. Again, it is a group getting together to try to figure out how we can maximize our resources so that we can enhance the art programs in our system. A number of the leaders from UMass Middlesex were in attendance, as I said before, and also we had a report from the curriculum coordinator, Wendy Jack, who provided a perspective and report on the progress of the school's vertical teams. And Dr. Jack featured the success of this work in the content area of chemistry, biology, and English. And Dr. Scott reminded the subcommittee that the Pathways program is founded upon programs that have been in place in the district, which I think is extremely important to note. She added that this foundation has made possible the expansion of collaboration with local partners and the capacity to connect with our work with grant opportunities. Representative partners shared the current work of their organization, which featured key points of our partnership. The mathematics coordinator, Claire Abrams, discussed the progress that has occurred over the past 2 years in the STEM pathway. She noted that many opportunities have been made available in our middle schools and high school students through the pathway. The Fine Arts Chair, Betty Santagati, shared the work that she has led this subcommittee, K through 12 teachers of the arts. The team has divided into subcommittees, and they will formally guide their work in the following areas. The UMass Middlesex Community College Subcommittee, the Exhibitions Community Outreach Subcommittee, Arts Resource Subcommittee, and the High School Student and Mentor Subcommittee, and the Funding Subcommittee. I was fortunate enough, Mr. Mayor, to meet with this group and to experience firsthand the work that was being done. At this particular point, Ms. Doherty made a motion, and it was seconded by Mr. Leary, to recommend to the committee as a whole to establish the second strategic goal of the school system to promote community involvement in order to enhance educational opportunities for students, and it was accepted 3-0. What we need to do, I believe, Mr. Mayor, is to bring that to the full committee for a vote.
Okay, motion by Mr. Conway, seconded by Ms. Doherty, to establish the second strategic goal of the school system to promote community involvement in order to enhance educational opportunities for students. This was, as Mr. Conway indicated, recommended by the subcommittee to be brought forward to the committee as a whole. Roll call.
Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milanazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Thank you. Mr. Conway.
Mr. Mayor, second on the agenda was a Level 4 status update and the student achievement gains across the district, which again, we saw much of that tonight with the presentation from the superintendent and her staff, and we certainly saw how scores have certainly improved, especially at the Merkland School, which I think was very impressive. Deputy Superintendent Gene Franco presented a report that summarized the current steps taking place at the Merkland School, and these included the assignment of a new principal and a new assistant principal. Furthermore, the school has established its local stakeholders group as mandated by federal and state legislation. This group will oversee the planning process at the Merkland School. Ms. Franco also reported that the DESNE SE has awarded the district an early implementation grant to carry out the pre-planning activities at the school. Ms. Franco invited K through 12 ELA and literacy coordinator Dr. Phyllis Shilta to provide an update at the subcommittee on the progress received in the reading across the district. Dr. Shilta reported that the district's keen focus on using data effectively to meet the needs of the students in combination with the focused work of coaches and the addition of the cycle of inquiry reflection process has been powerful initiatives and indicators of real progress. And she stated that teachers have become better diagnosticians and student response has improved, which obviously is the most important part. To provide the committee with a current view of the work, each school sent a one-page template that illustrated the scenario representing the progress of each school. To better illustrate the impact of this work, to the committee, presentations were provided by staff members from the Bailey, the Bartlett, Stocklosa, and the Merkland, which we saw tonight. Schools shared stories of increased collaboration, which again was shared. It was suggested that the process be utilized in the future to report progress at regular intervals. Ms. Doherty made a motion, second by Mr. Leary, to recommend that the committee as a whole authorization to accept the report as a report of progress. And as I said, Mr. Mayor, the early childhood assessment protocol was put off. The early release day, Deputy Superintendent Gene Franco presented the model for early release time for next year and the progress that was made during the 2 early release days that have been supported by the committee this school year. She reported that the development of the common plan for the entire system was powerful and well received. And Mr. Mayor, at this particular point, I just want to make a point that I had to leave that meeting, and Mr. Leary was kind enough to pick up the gauntlet and continue with it. So feel free to, Mr. Leary, to add anything to this report. Additionally, Ms. Franco commented on the feedback from teachers, has provided very useful information for the next steps in professional learning, which will be instrumental in planning professional days in the upcoming year. And Ms. Franco requested that 6 days of early release time be added to the school calendar for next year. She suggested that the professional development days could be combined with the school's mandatory staff meetings, thus creating a combined total of 18 hours of PD time throughout the school year for all staff. In addition to the request for early release time, Ms. Franco presented an amended budget of $237,000 of local budget professional development funding that was placed in the schools committee's suspense account at the last budget hearing. She stated that after great scrutiny The administrative team had reduced the budget by $78,810 and were recommending a total of $158,390. Only those items that cannot be addressed during early release time were included in the presented budget. And these items included legal program fees, induction certification program, paraprofessionals, testing for highly qualified status, limited substitutes for compliance and content training, stipends for curriculum development, updates and refinements. And discussions continued around the following: concerns about the increasing the number of PD days due to loss of time in school, positive feedback of the data that was shown from each building as a result of collaborative work, and desire to reduce the professional development budget further due to other fiscal challenges. There was a motion by Mr. Leary, second by Ms. Doherty, to accept 6 early release proposed and included in the 2010-2011 calendar. That was accepted to nothing, and I believe that needs to go to the full committee for a vote.
Okay. Mr. Leahy?
Thank you. Can I ask a few questions?
Sure.
Okay. Sorry. Through you to the superintendent, the report we got tonight with the progress that was made specifically at the Merkland, does that have any effect on our level 4 status?
No, it does not. We're in a 3-year cycle, level 4 status. So we have 3 years to show continuous growth. So it's not enough just to show the 6 months that we have, but that does obviously mean a lot to staff and a lot to families that that growth has begun. And that's the expectation. So it is a 3-year cycle, and school districts who have level 4 schools have that window, and at that time, if the growth is going in the right direction over that period of time, they do not become a level 5 school, which is basically the state taking over the school.
Okay. All right, thank you. And then the second question I had, I wasn't able to attend the meeting, so I had a couple of questions maybe through you to Superintendent Franco. Why 6 meetings and not 9? Because of vacations or?
Yeah, we chose the months that would, in the short months, those are the months we chose not to go forward with. We thought 6 would be a good second step, reassess it, and then see if in fact, you know, how it works with our community, that would be the best way to ask for it. So that's what we had.
How many does the high school have?
The high school has 1 a month. They have 1 a month.
Right,
So they have
okay.
9 to 10.
All right, because I would suggest, I mean, I don't know why we're not doing it once a month like that, but, and then my other question was, I didn't get the part here about the, combining it with, mandatory meetings. Can you just give me, I mean, mandatory meetings are what, after school, right?
Yes, contractually, each one of our schools hold a mandatory staff meeting.
Right.
And so if in fact we planned ahead, because the teachers need to know those dates a year in advance. If we planned ahead and said, this is your release day and this will be your mandatory staff meeting, that would take your 2 hours by the time all the kids, and we have delayed schedules for release. By the time your kids are gone and then you have that hour afterwards, it would give concentrated amount of time, because we know that 3 consecutive hours is really a nice amount of time, and we would share our planning along with principals, because that's precious time to them. I have a planning committee this year because it was a pilot. I did a lot of the planning with my own team, but we'll do more at the school. So that will give you a 3 hour, no matter where if it's an early school or a late school, they'll have 3 hours together. So
We
that's
pay for those extra meetings, though?
No, that is the mandatory staff meeting that is held every year contractually. So if we tell the teaching staff in advance, we can arrange
So
that.
we don't pay for those, though?
No.
So aren't we kind of giving up all those meetings, though?
They'll
Madam
still have them.
Superintendent,
Sorry.
Madam Superintendent.
I'd just like to address that point and your first point as well, Mr. Lay. We think that it's the best use of that time to have a whole block of professional development so that it's not all chopped up throughout the school year. And we are hopeful that by having that additional time, which is already bedded in the teacher's contract, that the things that would have administratively been dealt with in that particular hours as a traditional staff meeting will be handled through other communication means like email, offline conversations, what have you. But to have a whole block of uninterrupted professional development, I think it's a win-win for our staff and our students. Just to address your first question with regards to why only 6 days at this time, that in large part is in response to the concern that we heard from the committee over our younger children going home, being sensitive to families' needs, trying to balance that concern along with the need for professional development. And we're basically almost eliminating, as you can see, from a budget that services 14,000 students, and we have over 2,300 staff, almost all of the professional development, and we really, to have this piece of time in place is important for us. So we think it's a cost-effective way to do it. We think it's going to be able to offer us interrupted time where people can come together and work, so there's some consistency to the work. So it's a balancing act between the two. As we move forward and as budget issues change and perhaps worsen, we may revisit the number to more than that, but at this time I think that's just to echo Ms. Franco's point, it's, I think, a good next step.
Okay. All right, I just catching up here. I can, so the mandatory meetings will be after the early release
Yes.
days, you're saying? So, okay, all right, so that's good. And then, but I guess my point, I apologize for not being at the subcommittee meeting, but, you know, professional development would be kind of the first thing on the chopping block. I know the importance of it. So that's why I was kind of hoping that we would have more early release days to do that, because in light of everything we chopped out of the budget, the communication within schools and grade level teams is that much more important. So I guess, I mean, I can, you know, if the majority agrees with the 6th, I just kind of thought we were going to do it every month like the high school. And
Right.
Madam Superintendent, then Ms. Doherty.
What I mean when I say that we may revisit the number of days as the budget worsens, a concrete example of that, Mr. Leahy, is right now we are taking a significant amount of stimulus money from Title I that's supposed to be used to build capacity, and that's what we do at grade level, at our grade level teams, where they analyze the data and go through the inquiry cycle to improve student instruction. Right now, within this budget, FY11, that money's still there for that work to occur, which is a significant commitment on the school committee's and school department's part. Next year, that won't be there. And so at that time, it would be my recommendation to perhaps expand it to the same amount as the high school. But we have bought additional time with our staff with that money for this year.
okay, could you just elaborate on that? What do you mean by we bought?
Sure. So right now we have Title I money that's come into the district that is intended to build capacity with our present employees. So we can't hire new employees with that money. We have to spend it on professional development so that the teachers who work for us right now are better teachers when that money dries up. We're taking that money along with those 6 half days to do the work that you've seen here tonight. So there will be many more hours spent on professional development besides just the 6 half days, in large part due to the stimulus money that we have taken to support the district's first goal of student achievement, which is the establishment of our professional learning communities. And we pay them the $30 an hour rate to come together after school to work on the inquiry cycle and to improve student achievement. So that's a big commitment for us at this time, and I think next year, without that money, we'll need to have another conversation about how many days. But at this time, I think it's a good next step.
Thank you.
Ms. Doherty?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a couple of comments about the early release time. I feel very comfortable with the 6 number. I was hesitant about going forward with the early release, as my colleagues know, because it is time our students are not in the classroom. We're sending them home. But based on what we saw at the subcommittee meeting, where we saw tangible results of our schools having an opportunity to look at data, to make inquiry, to make changes, and then to reevaluate and see the student progress. And I think we need, if you look at these dates, there's 6 weeks between many of them, that in order to really be effective with that time, you need some planning time in between those meetings. You need to reassess, okay, we did this, we tried it, what does the data tell us 6 weeks later? How do we want to then approach that? And I really wouldn't feel comfortable to go to a monthly, to jump in with, 9 early release days and feel that we are getting the most bang for that time because we are letting the kids home. I think that 6 is a good next step, as was said. I think when we look at the data we saw at the subcommittee meeting and that we saw a sampling of tonight, that's what I'd like to see next year going forward to kind of keep us abreast that we are holding the school department accountable for showing student performance that an achievement that is a result of this time of meeting together. So I think it's a good starting point. And as we go forward, I don't know, we'll have to see with what happens with that. But I just wanted to weigh in on that. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a procedural question. Can the committee approve the recommendation of the subcommittee for the 6 days without knowing the dates on the calendar? Or does that
Well, we
not?
do have the dates here.
We do have the dates here.
Yeah, it's on page 1 of the document, professional development for early release days, right at the
Okay,
bottom.
amendments? No. Okay.
And
Okay.
I
Madam
think,
Secretary.
do we already
for
have
the
a
minute.
motion to move
Yes,
approval of those
yes,
dates? Okay.
yes. Move approval on the dates as recommended by the subcommittee by Ms. Doherty, second by Ms. Martin. Roll call.
Mr. Leahy,
Yes.
Mr. Leary,
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Mayor Milanazzo.
Yes.
Mr. Conway,
Yes.
Ms. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee.
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Thank you. Mr. Conway.
I just wanted to add one other thing, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to thank Gene Franco, Deputy Superintendent, for doing an excellent job on that report. It was rather lengthy, but there was a lot that was done that night. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Motion to accept the report. Oh, Ms. Doherty.
I'm sorry, I just have to make one other comment about the partnership piece of that meeting, because I think that that was very impressive for me as well. I know from being on a number of different community groups that meet monthly that a lot of it ends up being just talking, and I really felt that the very difficult work of partnerships that have action items, that have concrete plans, I saw that at the subcommittee meeting. We saw that again in some of the presentation that we saw tonight, that I think this is very important for us to move forward and, as the superintendent said, build on the partnership structures that are already there, especially as we see declining resources in our schools, to really reach out and have meaningful partnerships with the other organizations in the city. And I just wanted to, publicly say that I was really impressed by the concrete, specific plans and action that we saw. And that I think we've talked in the past about how some of the stuff, the partnership stuff, is very difficult to measure. And we're all about data and measurable outcomes. We can see that when a child goes from at risk to proficient, It's a clear, measurable thing. But when you're talking something like partnerships, it's more difficult to measure it. And I really think we're on the right track with that, and I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Any other comments? Motion by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Mr. Leahy, to accept the joint subcommittee report as a report of progress. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Next item on the agenda, report of the superintendent. Before we get to the progress of the local stakeholders, I did have something, Madam Superintendent, in my packet, professional development amendments. Is that something that we're supposed to be taking up this evening? No?
No, Your Honor.
No, okay, thank you. Moving on then, progress of local stakeholder group, Madam Superintendent?
Thank you. And I'll just briefly give you an update with regards to our local stakeholder group, which is required by the new law, that we have a local stakeholder group come together and give us feedback for our level 4 school and the priorities that they have for that particular school. I have included in your packet in the past the membership of that particular group. There's 14 people from various organizations throughout our school community. As well, I've included in this packet the questions that were asked of the group and recommendations that they brought forward. We will be bringing their recommendations and insights to the redesign group. The redesign group is the group that's school-based who will do the actual work. In the meantime, our community agencies and members of the stakeholder group will be interviewed and we will get more detail from them. Through the individual interviews that we will do over the next coming months. The progress to date at the school has been impressive by any measure. It's a great deal of work on the behalf of staff, and we commend them for their efforts at this time and thank our local stakeholder group. In true Lowell style, they are committed and dedicated to our students, and we thank them for that.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. Any questions?
Nope.
Motion to accept the report as report of progress by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Mr. Conway. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Next item under new business, the 2010-2011 school committee meeting schedule is in your packet of information. Motion to accept by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Mr. Leary. Any discussion? All those, Mr. Leahy.
Just have one quick question. Since a few years ago, we moved the meetings to the 1st and 3rd. We always missed that June 1st meeting, so I just didn't know if there was any will of the body to have a special meeting in June, or do we need that, or, so I just throw it out there.
Until we get closer to June.
Well, I just didn't know if we wanted to have 2 meetings in June, or is it fine the way it is, so I just kind of throw that out.
We decided to wait.
All right, so we'll leave it out there. But I suppose if superintendent feels we need 2 meetings in June, then we can do that, but.
And if you need 4?
Pardon?
Yeah, I was going to say.
You can have 4, sure. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Martin.
I was going to say that generally in June, we have so many budget hearings going on that we usually see more than enough of each other. But we could always add additional if Mr. Leahy would like that.
Could I ask a question ask a question from the chair? Have we ever considered changing the time from 7 o'clock to 6:30? Have we ever considered changing the time from 7 p.m. to 6:30 p.m.?
Would the chair like to switch it to 6:30? Is that what the chair
I'm
is?
just throwing it out there. No. Well,
I'll make a motion to change it to 6:30.
if it's a problem, I don't want to bring this. I'm getting some heads shaking no here. So if you want to leave. No. Your second? Okay, we have a motion to move the meetings from 7 to 6:30. Motion and the second. Any further discussion? Ms. Doherty?
I'd just like to say it's hard enough to try to have dinner with have dinner on the table for my family before I leave, and with commuting and things like that, I prefer the 7.
And where are we going to do these special finance meetings at 6? I mean, you know, I think 7's appropriate.
Well, we do have a motion that's been seconded. Why don't we roll call?
Mr. Leahy.
Boy, this is a tough vote. I'm sorry, for now, I'll have to say no.
Mr. Leary.
No.
Ms. Martin. Ms.
No.
Martin. No. Mayor Milanasa.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
I shouldn't have made the motion. I think it probably would have got 6 votes. Yes.
Okay. Ms. Doherty.
No.
Ms. Larraba.
Yes.
3 yeas, 4 nays, defeated.
Thank you for your consideration. Motion to accept the schedule for the upcoming year by Mr. Leahy, seconded by Ms. Doherty. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed to vote. Under convention conference requests, we do have, let me just, I'm sorry, Ms. Larraba. I'm confident that we will. Convention and conference requests. The first one, Lowell High School teacher Colleen Wynn, along with the chaperones, to take approximately 30 MCC Trio and Gear Up students to New York City and Connecticut from June 22nd to the 25th, 2010. There will be no cost to the school department budget. All costs to be paid by Trio grant funds. We'll take them both together, if that's okay.
Sure.
Second one, Lowell High School football team to travel to Camp Kaposi in Monmouth, Maine, from August 25th through August 28th, 2010. There will be no school missed, and there is no cost to the school department. All expenses will be paid by the Friends of Lowell High School Football Committee.
Motion to accept.
Motion to approve both requests by Ms. Doherty, seconded by Ms. Martin. Question, Mr. Leahy? No? No. There's no money involved, so I guess we can just approve by affirmation. All those in favor signify by saying.
But for the insurance, I take the roll call.
Okay.
No, this is an
I'm
insurance
sorry.
issue, okay?
Insurance issue. Roll call.
Mr. Leahy.
Yes.
Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Mayor Milanazzo.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
Ms. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Larraba.
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Thank you. Next item under communication, we have proposed MASC resolution from Framingham School Committee. Madam Superintendent.
Through me, please, to School Committee Member Doherty.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This is we've been asked by Framingham to join with them in this resolution that will go before the Mass Association of School Committees delegation in November, which the intention of this resolution is to modify circuit breaker funding, which is our special education funding, to provide more incentives, more funding for communities who develop in-district programs for their students with special education needs, which we have, as you know, many alternative programs. So this would be a benefit to Lowell schools. But I asked the superintendent and Assistant Superintendent Ann Murphy to look into the specifics of the language to be sure that they were comfortable that this would be beneficial to the Lowell schools if we could get this resolution passed. And I don't know if either one of them wants to throw in their opinion about this issue. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Your Honor. It would be very beneficial for this to be passed for Lowell Public Schools, as we do have many programs. I do appreciate Assistant Superintendent Murphy's work on this. She has been working with the folks in Framingham. But just big picture, it would bring in additional circuit breaker money at a lower threshold, so that we wouldn't have to spend $40,000 to bring in additional circuit breaker money, that it would be significantly reduced from that. I didn't know, Assistant Superintendent Murphy, if you had anything else, big picture you want to offer?
If anyone has any questions regarding the specifics of it, I mean, right now, circuit breaker, the threshold level is at $39,000 for any placement in district or out of district. Beyond the $39,000, there is then the percentage of reimbursement that we get depending on funding that the legislature appropriates. What this proposal would do is lower the threshold for collaborative programs, which many of our students are in collaborative programs, and in-house programs, so that the threshold wouldn't get to that 39,000. In addition, this would call for the reimbursement for collaborative programs and in-district programs to be set at 75%, so that potentially the out-of-district programs could be reimbursed at, say, 45%, but collaborative programs with a lower threshold, beyond that threshold, when it's set, would come in at 75%. So it would definitely significantly increase the monies that we would get back in circuit breaker.
Mr. Hardy.
Given that recommendation from our administration, I would ask my colleagues to support this resolution, that we would join with the Framingham School Committee in this effort.
Motion by Mr. Hardy. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Martin. Ms. Martin, Chair recognizes Ms. Martin.
Thank you very much. Just a quick question. The reality, though, of this would be that, I mean, much like our circuit breaker percentages now, in whether we're talking the threshold or we're talking the percentage of reimbursement, no matter what resolution goes through, that's a legislative decision that gets made every year. Has great fluctuation based on economic realities. So supporting this, which I certainly do, and would hope that it would be certainly passed and more importantly honored, we would have to recognize that this wouldn't necessarily be a slam dunk savings for upcoming years.
Madam Superintendent.
It's my understanding, and Ms. Murphy, you could just weigh in on this, but it would in fact change the funding formula so that it would be at a lower threshold. To your point, Ms. Martin, every year the percentage changes. So originally the law was that we were supposed to get 75%. We've never seen 75%, and I think now it's down to 50%. But what this particular piece of legislation would do for us is change the actual funding formula. So school districts like Lowell, who took the initiative and made internal programs for our students to stay here instead of putting them out of district, it would have an impact, positive one.
Yes, that's correct. So that the threshold would be significantly low. It's very difficult for us to get reimbursement on programs in district now, because it doesn't get to that threshold of $39,000 per student. So we never quite get to that threshold. This would lower. That's correct.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Leary?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Milanazzo?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee?
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Thank you. Chair is going to recognize Mr. Conway to institute waiving the 10 o'clock rule. Waived by Mr. Conway, second by Ms. Larrabee. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Thank you. Under communications, Lowell Telecommunications, broadcast of Lowell School Committee meetings live on the first and third Wednesday of the month, except for July and August. Thursdays at 6 p.m., Saturday, Sundays, 2 p.m., Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Accept a communication placed on file by Ms. Martin, seconded by Mr. Leary. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed to vote. Under professional personnel, first item, the members of the United Teachers of Lowell hereby request to donate sick leave days to the following paraprofessional: Mary Papagiorgio, McAuliffe School, 3 days. Motion to accept by Mr. Leary, seconded by Mr. Leahy. Roll call.
Question?
I'm sorry, Mr. Leahy.
Thank you. Through you, the superintendent, could you, just the timing of this, so now that school's out, I guess my question would be like, why are we approving this? Did it already happen, or, I mean, obviously you're not doing this for next year, so how does this work?
This is a situation we had to cancel the first meeting in June. We haven't met since May 19th, so this would be like a retroactive approval for a few school days.
All right, and same with the custodian request underneath it, or glue?
Well, they work year-round.
Oh, yeah, right, you're right. Okay,
On the teacher one, there just wasn't a meeting
It's
since May 19th.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call.
Mr. Leahy,
Yes.
Mr. Leary,
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Mayor Milanazzo.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
Ms. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee.
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Thank you. The second item, the members of GLUE hereby request to donate sick leave days to the following employees. Dolores Lanou, Lincoln School Custodian, 35 days. Ann Gary, Wang School Food Service Worker, 14 days. And Carol Pepin, Lowell High School Food Service Worker, 5 days. Motion to approve by Ms. Martin, seconded by Mr. Conway. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Leahy,
Yes.
Mr. Leary.
Yes.
Ms. Martin.
Yes.
Mayor Milanazzo.
Yes.
Mr. Conway.
Yes.
Ms. Doherty.
Yes.
Ms. Larrabee.
Yes.
7 yeas, approved.
Anything under civil service to come before us? Motion by Mr. Leary, second by Mr. Leahy to adjourn. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Thank you.
I'm going to put, okay.